You apologizing and making amends with her, you speaking your truth, is about you liberating yourself, because you are trapped in a cycle of suffering, because you are living in guilt
and shame
and fear. And until you go into that ugly woods, until you go with the axe and the ratchet, and you start clearing away the clutter, it's going to live there even if you pretend you don't see it.
Podcast 7, we're live from Pancake Cafe in Stone, Wisconsin, in the Dane by local area. I mean the Dane County area. We got your girl Keena Atkinson.
Hey y'all, I'm Keena, owner of Rougie Wellness.
Owner of so many things.
Well,
I know.
But okay, y'all want me to tell you everything?
No, you don't have
owner
to.
Owner of Rougie Wellness, owner of We3 Property Management, owner of K Naturally Hair. I also have a podcast called Rougie Ruminations and Revelations. You feel me? Like, what's up?
Yeah.
Yoga teacher, dance instructor, business coach, mindset.
And I only said it because like we were just talking about it, right? Like if you only knew like who I was, like my values, my beliefs, like everything I represent, like you won't be coming at me this way. You know what I mean? So I just like you're so much, you know. Thank you. I own Pancake Cafe in Stone, wonderful restaurant. Going to the Stone Chamber of Commerce event tonight to hand out the New Business of the Year award because we won it last year. You know what I'm saying?
So y'all passing the torch?
So we got past the torch. We got past the torch. That should be really cool. Back to basics, focusing on empowering the youth, educators, and businesses. That's really blowing up. We're doing our first fundraiser in April. I got to talk to you about that. Podcast work, that's been blowing up. So we got to talk about that too. You know what I mean? Also do some consulting work, finalizing a contract that's been kind of tiptoeing tomorrow, so I'm excited about that, you know. And just lots of moving parts. Man, so I just told you, I was like, you know, one of my habits and behaviors that I have every time we do this podcast is I listen to the podcast the Wednesday night before and I take notes. And then sometimes that's why it comes in Slack and you see that. And then the day of, I listen to the podcast. And with the last podcast being 45 minutes, me dropping off Anthony at his haircut appointment and then coming south and then going to Stoughton, it was wonderful. Like I killed the timing of it, you know. Last week I really resonated with affirmations. You know, I've been writing my affirmations. I don't want to share them. Thank you. I don't want to share them yet. You know, they're really, really, I think in my eyes, like really powerful affirmations. I hold myself, you know, to a very what I would deem as a high level of accountability. But you had mentioned something last podcast when we were talking about wants and needs. And, you know, anytime, like, not to drift because I want to talk about that, but anytime I talk about, like, people aren't understanding people or there's something going on, or, like, I feel like people are, like, bouncing on the surface around a question, I'm like, hey, what do you want? What do you need? You know, just this morning, I was telling my mom about Summer's Women's Empowerment event that she's doing on Saturday. And I was like, oh, Mom, I think it would be wonderful for you to go. You know, it's a Christian-based event. You're a Christian. It's women-led. You know, I was like, do you know Summer Shepherd? She's like, yeah, Life 102.5. I'm like, yeah. And I was like, I think you would love that. You know, and then she was like, well, what time is it? What day is it? Where is it? And I was like, well, Mom, are you asking me all these variables because you really want to go? Or are you asking me all these variables because you're looking for a reason not to? You know? And she got quiet. And I was like, Mom, I love you. What do you want? What do you need? She was like, well, I'd prefer not to go.
Okay.
I was like, beautiful.
Why would she prefer not to go?
Oh, sorry. I'm clicking. Yeah. She just didn't want to make the commitment, commitment. You know, hour-long, 8-hour event, 6-hour event, hour back. You know, if she has to commit that much time, she looks at that as like, oh, that's going to be a long day. But what do you want? What do you need? And I even told her in that moment, I was like, I apologize. She's like, why are you sorry, son? I was like, I'm projecting my value of this event onto you based on what I know your values to be without even getting your permission of introducing you to them. So I apologize. And she's just like, okay. Because, you know, like, I'm such a deep person and she's more, you know, surface level. Okay. So she's like, thank you, you know. But wants and needs. So you had mentioned last week and this is where I'm coming back to it.
Mhm.
You had mentioned last week when we were talking about affirmations and wants and needs and writing down wants and needs, you had said that some people don't even know what they want.
Mhm.
Some people don't even know what they need. And when I heard that today, I got chills. Like I'm driving in the GMC terrain, and I'm like, I pulled over. Like I put my blinker on, pulled over, and I just rewinded it.
Okay.
You know,
You're such a responsible driver.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
if you knew me, but I am working on it diligently.
Okay.
And it was like, yeah, some people don't even know what they want or need. And I'm like, oh, because when I think about like, asking people like, how do you want to be loved, or how do you want to communicate, or how do you want to have meaningful and valuable, information relayed? Some people don't know how they want to be loved because they're not accustomed to loving themselves. Some people don't know what they want or know what they need, so they're not able to coach people on what they want or what they need. Like when you do affirmations, right? I think that you either know what you want and need and you're affirming it, or you don't and you're I don't want to say you're making it up, but you're following a template of success or from somebody else, like how you coach the kids, right? Not right, but I think it's important for people when you're searching to do affirmations, it's important that you know what you want and what you need. And if you don't know what you want and what you need, then I think it's important that you identify what you don't want and what you don't need. I just kind of want to talk about that, wants and needs, like that's just, and not knowing, and I don't know where we're going to go with the conversation, but when I pulled over and I'm like, ooh, people don't know what they want. They don't know what they need. And I think this is a podcast we did probably episode 3 or 4, maybe. Somehow we talked about wants and needs briefly. But even since then, like I've developed that behavior of just, hey, wants and needs. And even with Anthony, I'm like, remember when I talked about what do you want, what do you need from me? That's helped elevate our growth in our relationship. Like, what do you want, what do you need? Dad, I got to be picked up from school. I got to do this. I got to do this. I scheduled a haircut. I scheduled a haircut. Appointment 1 o'clock in the room. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, well, I need to take a shower. I need to plan for this event. So if you have these wants and needs, I have these wants and needs. Let's come together. But I just wanted you to know, it really touched my soul. Like, I don't know why. Because it's something I know, right? Like, it's something that I live by. I know people that don't know their wants and needs. But when I heard you say it, it was almost like my validation from another peer.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that I needed that or I wanted that, but to come from, somebody that has that same mindset.
It resonated.
It really resonated, because there's like, I have about 8 people I can go to where if I'm undecided, I have 8 conscious people with different traumas and different levels of character that I can go to, that I can respect their perspectives and still make my decision. So it was almost like that moment for me.
Yeah. I think that all of that really gives you the power. It gives you the autonomy. It takes you out of a space of victimhood. Okay. This is what I was thinking. It was coming up for me earlier today. I was going to, I wanted to write it down, but I was cooking, so I couldn't. And I was like, I got to remember to write this down because I want to sit with this. There was 2 things. Number 1, I said to myself, or Spirit said to me, when you decide to no longer be a victim, you will be so liberated. Okay. That was what happened in here. Okay. And so then I had like, I don't know, I was like cooking or I was working, something was happening when that came into my brain. And then the next thing, when I went to get ready to come here, it said, if you read the 4 agreements and you still want to be a victim, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay? If you still want to live in victimhood, then I don't know what to tell you.
So you're saying your spirit, your consciousness was talking to you about this?
Consciousness was talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Because Keena already understood these things.
Right.
These were not things that was like, I needed this.
Yeah.
But it was like helping me with my compassion for other people. Okay. In the 4 agreements, I don't know how anybody can read that book and still be a victim in any situation in their life. And so I think this was because I was having a conversation today, and I said, I was having a conversation today, and we were talking about, there was a conversation about hurt. And I realized that the person on the other end of the phone is still living with a lot of hurt and resentment, and it's being projected onto me. And I was like, I'm coming as a person who is accountable for whatever part that I played. I'm accountable for all of the things that you say that I did. And also, like, there was hurt to me too. Like, I was also hurt. However, I have to acknowledge the role that I played in my own suffering, because there were decisions that I did or didn't make that contributed to that. And it might even been things that I did not have in my toolkit, right? Like, I might not have known how to advocate for myself in a certain way. I might not have had the language skills to speak for myself or to articulate what I was feeling or what I was dealing with. So I was not even as developed of an individual to be able to free myself from that cycle of suffering. I did not even know what I even wanted or needed. So if I don't, how can I even articulate that? I'm contributing to my own suffering because I'm not even tending to myself to have an understanding around my wants or needs. Not today, but this is me realizing and having compassion for an earlier version of myself. You know what I mean? What do you gotta say?
Oh, I got so much to say. Let
me hear it.
So I don't know, real quick before I resonate with the things, because I'm like Andrea, like I'm a writer, and I don't even know how much of a writer I am until I'm doing it. Have I ever been on the phone with you or been talking to you about, Keena, should I shut the F up right now? Do I say that sometimes?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. But
so in some of my relationships where I'm like respecting, like not interrupting people, like if I think I'm interrupting them, I'm like, should I shut the F up? And I'll cover my mouth, or are you done and can I go? And they'd be like, no, you should shut the F up. And I don't take offense to that because it's a mutual understanding in our relationship, right? I do that with Andrea a lot. I really love, so when we're talking about like wants and needs, right? I love when you use the words victim mentality. I speak about victim mentality every day with so many different people. And for those people out there that, like, when they're receiving victim mentality, how I look at it, and you can let me know if we have a mutual understanding with this, is victim mentality is no accountability, and non-victim mentality is accountability.
Part of it.
Okay. Let me tell you, let me explain where I go with that.
Okay.
Victim mentality is nothing is my fault. I'm blaming all the variables around me for who I am, for the decisions I make. I'm in this space because of XYZ variables. And I'm not able to get out of this space because of all these variables around me, that I'm a victim, right? Not right. I don't like saying right anymore. But learning how to be accountable for everything is a very difficult thing to achieve in life in general.
Like, to be accountable for real.
Like, for real.
Because there's accountability.
Yeah. Like almost like
for real accountability.
Yeah. Like, and I love that you said, like, I played part of my own suffering in this moment because I didn't do certain things. When you referenced I didn't have the tools, that's how I interpret that message. There was something that transpired, and in that version of Keena, in that moment of Keena, there was something that you decided not to do because you didn't know where to pull that tool from. And now that Keena's elevated, as you said, like your character is elevated, and you've been working on different things, Keena's aware, and Keena may have the tools to be accountable. So if something that happens again, go ahead. What?
I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
I'll wait. I'm listening.
But I want to share a story about hurt. So this actually happened this morning when we talk about victim mentality and non-victim mentality. My mom and Andrea, we've known each other for what, 20? Oh my gosh,
20 something,
23, 24 years. And Andrea was my girlfriend in 8th grade summer, okay?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm like,
my mama knew.
Right.
Mama knew. Like, I was like, Mom, this is the one. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't believe me, watch next year. We're going to have baby. I didn't say that.
Listen, Andrea, now I'm obligated to tell her that you said this.
You so funny. She going to hear it. She going to let her hear it when we drop it in the Google Drive.
Okay, so you said.
So Andrea and I, we've had so many different experiences with so many different family members, right? And we've encouraged each other to reconcile what wants or what needs to be reconciled. If you have somebody in the family that wants to fix that, broken or hindered relationship, then let's work on that. Let's have the energy be congruent. And if somebody's, drifting off and they don't want anything to do with you, then okay, then you be at peace with that and let them be in their space.
Yeah.
But my mom and I, we were really like having an in-depth conversation, and she had made a comment that she didn't want to be hurt, and she was apologizing to Andrea for things that she's done in the past. And I was just like, okay, Mom, like, do I have your permission to like go here with you and be comfortable being uncomfortable and really being a raw, authentic version of yourself? Like, I don't want you to protect the peace with me. I full self-expression. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, what are you apologizing for? And she was like, I told her I'm sorry, for the pain that I've caused her. I was like, what pain have you caused her? And she just kind of looked at me, and I was like, because if you're apologizing because you feel like somebody deserves an apology based on what they're saying, but you don't know how you hurt them, you're avoiding figuring out why you hurt them.
Taking the easy way out.
Yeah, and if you want to go deep and have a mutual understanding and connect on a deep and meaningful level, it's important that you go there with them and allow somebody to say, hey, like, my feelings were hurt because these are the things that were said, these are the things that were done, and this is how I received all the information, And even like later on in the conversation when my mom was tearing up and she was telling me like why she gives up on certain things because she doesn't want to be hurt. It was a resonation for me. It's like, dang, Mom, like, you don't want to understand how you hurt people because that hurts you and you're afraid of feeling that pain. And I told her, I was like, Mom, I yearn to hurt Andrea's feelings, Alicia's feelings, Anthony's feelings, Aisen's feelings. Like, I would rather hurt somebody's feelings with the truth than to protect their feelings with a lie. And I told her, I was like, Mom, the people that you love will hurt you the most because we have the highest expectations for each other, and understanding that, like, with love comes pain, and us being able to go there, it will encourage us to elevate our relationships. But even when you had also mentioned that hurt within that relationship that you're discussing, I resonated with that, because that just happened to me today. I said a lot. I don't want to trip. I'm listen.
Well, I want something that you said, and I can't say exactly what it was. I don't know, but it's something that you said in there that specifically triggered me to have this thought about courage. When you were saying, somebody who's the victim, it is very comfortable and convenient being the victim. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, I've been a victim plenty of times, right? It is so nice to be the victim because, I can unload all of my hurt and anger. Let me load up and I'm just going to unload it on everybody.
You can dump.
Yeah.
Dump truck.
I can unload all of my hurt and anger on everybody when I'm the victim. And I don't have to look at the decisions that I did or didn't make, right? And it hurts to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I wasn't brave enough to say these things. I did not have the courage, right? And the tools. When you said to me, well, it's because you had the tools. That's what it was. Something about, well, you had the tools to do it, Keena. And it's like, I did the work, and through the work discovered the tools, right? But to look in the mirror and be like, oh, it was anger and hurt, right? At the bottom, if you look at hurt, if you look at anger, underneath anger is hurt, right? Underneath hurt is misunderstanding. And underneath the misunderstanding is a lack of, connection or communication or really seeing one another, right? And seeing people for who you expect them to be versus who they are, who you want them to be, versus really seeing for who they are with your lens And there was something you said that made me think to myself, if you reduce everything down, the layers and the levels and all of the
surface
coatings,
level,
if you reduce it all down to the thing on the bottom side of it, right? It's a desire to be understood and to have a connection, right? And how much courage does it take to say, I just want to be seen? Because on the top of that, it's going to be all these other things. You didn't this, you didn't that. And instead of all that, it's like, I just want to be seen. But you got to have courage to even speak about your shadows, to even face your shadows, right? With love and compassion, right? And if you can figure out a way to hold your own self, and I'm speaking from experience, if you can find a way to hold yourself in your imperfections with love and compassion, if you can hold yourself accountable, if you can allow yourself to not be perfect, if you can practice forgiveness towards yourself with love and compassion, then you can approach any difficult situation in life. You can speak your truth. You can advocate for yourself. You can use your tools, and you can use them with hugs and love instead of with artillery. You don't have to unload anything on anybody, because all you are is seeing yourself. And the hardest people for us to have compassion and forgiveness and love for is ourselves. And even when we fake forgive other people, like what you said with your mom, right? Oh, I'm just saying sorry. But it's like, but for what? What are you sorry about? I don't want to go into the woods. I don't want to take the ratchet and go chopping down the branches and them long limbs. I don't want to do all of that. That's too hard. The path is too unclear. There's too many fallen tree branches. The storm knocked over so many things. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's too hard. So I'm just going to be like, I'm sorry, because I don't want to go into the woods.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the forest of trauma.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You apologizing and making amends with her, you speaking your truth, is about you liberating yourself, because you are trapped in a cycle of suffering, because you are living in guilt
and shame
and fear. And until you go into that ugly woods, until you go with the axe and the ratchet and you start clearing away the clutter, it's going to live there even if you pretend you don't see it. It's going to clear the path. And there is a path. And guess what? When you have a path, there means there's a beginning of the path, and it leads to somewhere that you have not explored yet. Right? So it's like, you can stay here in your surface areas, or you can explore the path. It takes courage to explore the path, and it takes work. You have to build up some muscles. You're going to have to do some weightlifting, or something so that you can carry that weight. And it takes, sometimes you don't even know how long the journey is, how much clearing you got to do. You start clearing stuff, and sometimes, you start clearing things, and then more things fall down. And it's like, but that's it. It's courage on the inside of all of that, What do you gotta say?
I love when you say that.
What?
Can I just say that?
What?
Y'all, I love when you look at me and say, what do you have to say? Because it's like, I think it's our mutual understanding that you're now giving me permission.
Okay.
To and not that we need permission, but you're saying, hey, Andrew, I'm finished.
Okay.
And I'm ready to accept all of your resonations.
Okay.
And your discussions. Is that fair? Is that an agreement we have?
Yes.
I love when because I'll be waiting for you to say it. Like you'd be like, what do you have to say? I'll be like, everything. At your core communications. At your core, no pun intended, or pun intended.
Shout out to the producer.
Holla back. Jason Hafman's a monster. So I'm so happy that we're having this conversation, and I love that our conversation's always congruent and organic, and we're able to we build up. That's what we've been in the whole podcast. I absolutely agree with you. It's so easy to be a victim. It's so easy to live a life where everything is everyone else's fault. I'm seeking pleasure and not happiness. So in the moment, I would just want, oh, hey, what am I going to be pleased by? Let me go eat this food, or let me go watch this movie, or let me go listen to this type of music, or let me go to this party. Let me do these drugs. smoke this weed or drink this alcohol. Pleasures, right? Victim mentality. Oh, everyone else is doing it, so I'm doing it. You know, it's so easy to live at a life with no accountability if you're in those environments and around those people that live that type of life. And I think when you said it takes courage to say, like, I wasn't brave enough in that moment. It takes courage to say, I wasn't strong enough in my own regard to speak up. You know, when Dreya and I went on a hiatus for 4 years, you know, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, and you might know this, you know, Andre and I were living together with the kids, you know, I don't know, 10 years ago, long time ago. And we had separated. For the first 30 days, I thought she was just mad at me. You know, she's like, it's over. Like, for 30 days, I'm so like blind to my environment that I'm like, oh, she's mad. You know, the month 2 hit, we're on day 60. I'm like, damn, she is pissed. Like, I ain't never seen her this pissed before. But, you know, I'm still working, I'm still drinking, I'm still partying, you know, I'm still doing my thing. She's still cooking, taking care of the kids. Nothing's changed. But there's just there's no communication and, you know, no physical connection. But not day 90, day 90, I'm like, wow, she left. She's gone. Like, I need to be out the house. So in those moments after we had broke up, I would say for a solid, you know, 2 or 3 months, you know, I was living a victim mentality life. You know, I was going out with my friends and I was drinking and smoking and going to the clubs. And I don't know if you remember this or not.
This was 14 or 15?
I started working at Bonefish in 16. So it would have been, we were separated for 4 years. It was 15.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was the end of 2015, beginning of 2016.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was so easy for me to live a victim mentality lifestyle, you know. And, you know, one of my friends, big shout out to Walter Orr. I don't know if you're watching this or not.
What's up, Walter?
What's up, Walt? What's up, Walt? Bonafide King.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Bonafide King. Fitness.
Yeah, you know. I remember being on the phone with him, you know, there's probably like 5 or 6 months into the breakup. And he's like, you know, bro, like, what do you value? What do you believe? And I'm like, well, you know, working hard, you know, going to school. He's like, no, like, I hear your like hobbies and your behaviors that you like to do, but like, what do you value, bro? Like, what are some things, some characteristics that you would die for? And he was like, you know, you're my best friend and I see you falling and I just want to stick my hand out and let you know, bro, like, you don't have to fall. You know, like, I'm here to grab you and help support you. And it took a lot of courage on my behalf to accept the fact, like, you know, I valued, you know, integrity, but I had been living a deceitful lifestyle. I valued respect, but I had been disrespectful to everyone I knew. You know, I valued time, but like I didn't spend time with my family. Like, how can you value time but not be there? You know, I valued so many different things, but I was living a lifestyle that contradicted my values because I was living that victim mentality, right? Oh, I gotta work. Oh, we gotta pay the bills. Oh, we gotta do this. Oh, we gotta do that. You know, it's always it was always chasing something else.
Yeah.
Something else always happened, and we always had to do these things. But I always tell people, like, that was a moment for me in my life where, you know, having that friend to encourage me to be courageous and identify my affirmations. And I would say, like, you know, speaking my values and beliefs is an affirmation, right? You know, I value this, I value that. That was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
You know, and then to start living by those values and beliefs and making decisions based on my values and beliefs just led me to where I am today. Another thing that you had mentioned is about the understanding piece, you know, having a mutual understanding. And I told Andrea, the way we love each other, our love is very submissive, and we yearn to seek a mutual understanding. You know, so it's all about I all the time. And if we misunderstand a situation or perspective, we yearn to go deeper. And I tell her, like, babe, I'm not receiving this information the way you want me to receive it based on what we're talking about. You know, what do you want? What do you need? Like, what are you trying to convey to me right now? Like, let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Because even I know you can probably, support this. Even like you and I, sometimes we have conversations, or you and somebody else of a different level mind have conversations. You still misunderstand people. You still misread the room.
Absolutely.
There's always variables going on where sometimes we're distracted, and we're working on being indistractable, which you encouraged me to read 4 agreements. That's whatever. I'm like 100 pages out. But ownership taking courage. It takes so much courage to actually say, you know what, like, this is my fault. I am responsible for this. Failures and successes, we know they're hierarchy words, but like, I'm responsible for my successes. I'm responsible for my failures. I'm responsible for my mistakes. I'm responsible for everything I do and say. Life is 90% how you react to it. I tell that Anthony all the time. But seeking that understanding is so important. And we live in a world where, like, even my upbringing, my mom wasn't like, hey, what do you want? What do you need? It was like, no, this is what's happening. That's the end all be all. And to be like, hey, what do you want? What do you need? Well, this is what I want. This is what I need. And it's important for me, like when Anthony's like, I want my haircut at 1:00. It's important for me to not be like, oh, it's not important that happens, because then I'm projecting my values and beliefs onto him.
And now you're more important. Your things are more important than him.
Exactly.
And it's like, how is that? How can you decide what's more important?
And you had mentioned, and that leads to the you, right? It's like, no, hey, I get it. It's so important for you to play your video game for 8 hours of the day. Cool, bro. I love it. I support it. That's your want, that's your need. Just understanding that that's important, and we have wants and needs over here. When you ask me about money for chores, that's something we bring up. Like, hey, you sweat me now, and we got all these things to do. You have these wants and needs. Like, can we collaborate? Can we meet in the middle? But understanding that, like, today was a beautiful day with him, just with wants and needs. Where he wanted to get his haircut, he needed to go to school, he needed rides to school, he needed to ride to haircut, and then I needed to take a shower. And having a 7-month-old baby, it's like, okay, I got to shower. Like, that's very refreshing. Like, I need to shower. We need to put these groceries away. We need to run these errands. And he just stepped up. It's like, I have these wants and needs that are important to me, And he's like, well, Dad, is it important that you shower? I'm like, it's a want and need that I value. I'm not asking for your permission to value what I value, because I don't ask you for permission to value what you value. Right. I just know it's important to you. Yeah. And because I love you unconditionally, what's important to you is important to me, in the essence that I have to respect that, So he stepped up and he put the groceries away while I was using the bathroom, and he was with Asen while I took a shower, and I took him to his haircut and dropped him back off. It was just a beautiful thing, a collaborative, submissive, like, love and support,
Yeah, I love that. I think I would say one thing that came to mind a little while ago, and that you just now reminded me of again, was detachment. Like, not detachment in the sense of like letting go, not being tied to any outcomes, but detachment in the sense of like disconnection from self, And so at the beginning, when we were talking about people not knowing what they want or needed, I think that people have learned to disconnect, and maybe that's not true. Maybe it's my experience, like, I know that I spent so many years disconnected from myself. Like at some point I learned to turn off my awareness to an acknowledgement and validation of my own feelings and my own self. I used to gaslight myself. I, for many years, was in environments where I was being in manipulated situations, right?
Yeah.
And what I learned recently was that if you are, if you're, exposed or around people who constantly gaslight or abuse or manipulate you, which of course those are all examples of abuse or forms of abuse. Gaslighting and manipulation, those are all forms of abuse. But with gaslighting, it kind of makes you question your own reality, right? And it makes you wonder, it makes you think that the feelings that you're feeling are too extreme or are not real.
Yeah.
And so
valid.
Or not valid, right? So if there's something that is upsetting me, right? Let's say when you was clicking your pen at the beginning, right? Let's say if I was like, that's really distracting me. I say, hey, that clicking is distracting me. And you said, it's not distracting you. You're tripping, right? Instead of like, oh, it's distracting you. I didn't know it wasn't distracting me. I didn't even notice, right?
Yeah.
That's different. And so then if you're telling me I'm tripping, I might be like, well, do I have something wrong with my attention span? If you gaslight me, I might gaslight my own self, right? Because now I am feeling insecure in my understandings of how I was just now feeling. Okay. So if you live that way for a long time, then you start to think everything is a lie. At least that's how I was. I used to think everybody was a liar and everything was a lie. And so then, of course, I developed trust issues. Okay. So then I was like, nothing. So then it's like, you don't know how to take compliments. You start to deal with imposter syndrome. You start to, all of these things, right? And so all of these things lead to you eventually like gaslighting yourself every single day. Every time, like if you have excitement about something, you might be like, is this even real? Right? Is this real? Like I'm having such a good time. Something bad is about to happen, or this is all fake, right? Like I can't even explain like the type of terrible thoughts that pop into my head at times. Like even sometimes, like even I ain't gonna lie, like even sometimes right now, like if I am doing so great in life, if I'm like, wow, I'm doing so good at all of these things, there's this evil, I'm not gonna swear, but there's this evil little voice in my head that goes,
sugar honey iced tea.
That it's in my head. And like this was today in my head, and it was like, you're scamming. And I was like, I'm not scamming. I had to talk back. Like I'm not a scammer.
Yeah.
But it's like, but how could you be doing so good then for yourself, Keena? Yeah. How could you be doing so great? You can't do this. You know what I mean? And I'm like, but I can. But if I don't talk back to that voice is going to have me being like, you know what, let me shut the business down. Let me just wrap it up. You know what I mean? So, you know, you kind of become detached from like reality, from your feelings, right? So like, I might be like, oh no, I shouldn't enjoy this success because it's not worthy. I'm not worthy of that. So the detachment part. So then you get so far away, then you're like, well, what do I want? Well, I don't know what I want because I don't even actually know who I am. I don't know what I like. I don't know what brings me joy because I don't even know if I deserve any of these things. What do you need? I don't think that I deserve any of these needs. I think that I know that I kind of think I want or I need these things, but maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I don't. I think I need to be able to count on somebody. I think I need to be seen and connected and understood. I think I need compassion. I think I need love. I think I need forgiveness and all of this, but maybe I don't because maybe I'm just a terrible person, so I don't need any of those things. You know what I mean? You gaslight yourself. You get so far removed from all of that. And so then when somebody asks you, you don't even have an answer. And you're also a victim to yourself and a victim to the people around you. And you're suffering. You're causing it. Okay? I'm wrapping it up.
Are you good?
And then here you are in this endless loop. You're trapped in this endless cycle.
The Matrix.
And you don't even know where it started. You don't know where it ended. All you know is you're just here. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like you against you. Because maybe when the first person gaslit you, maybe you did not have a solid enough sense of your self-worth because maybe you did not have affirmations to train your brain to kick in to support you. All you know is that you're in that cycle and you got to get out. Go ahead.
Oh, money. Thank you. So I'm so happy. We're talking about detachment and disconnecting. And I want to say there was a comment that you had made that like, you're like, well, maybe it's just me, or is this like an experience everyone's having? I fully want to like validate and support and agree because I wholeheartedly agree with this, that we live in a disconnected society. Disconnected society. We are conditioned and taught disconnection on deep levels that some people are aware of and some people aren't. Before I go into that, the pen clicking, right? Just so we're in the
this was not an attack.
No. Okay. I love it. No, I
was just looking for an example.
No, I know.
Okay.
But it's an example you mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, because I keep with the story.
Yeah. Well, and it was an analogy that we both support. So just so everyone understands what the reality was. I was clicking the pen. Keena grabbed the pen, and it was nonverbal.
Right.
You grabbed the pen, and you gave me this pen. Right. Now, because we have such a deep and we are very connected, I knew that was distracting you once you removed the pen from me. And in my head, I was like, "Ooh, I apologize. My intent is not to distract you.
Right.
So if I'm distracting you, you have full permission to let me know, because I want to be indistractable in this podcast." We talked about this all the time with Dreya and Baby, you know, but it was an unspoken vibration between the two of us. And like you said, but the social normality is for you to say, "Hey, like that's really bothering me," you know. Distraction is like the variable behind, like, it was bothering you, or that's affecting the way I think right now. Right.
And I was just worried about the microphones, honestly.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we know how Jason is with tapping. You know, so we're all considerate. But like the social normality behind that is like when you tell somebody like, "You hurt my feelings," or like something an action that you took led me to be sad or mad. I'm so mad because of this. Like, "Oh, you're tripping. Like, you shouldn't be mad about that." That's such a social normality to dismiss someone's feelings and to project your own beliefs and values onto other people, you know, and that's just dangerous. But oh my gosh, detachment. We have so many detachment issues in society right now. We're so socially conditioned to be disconnected. Even Caleb, remember Caleb when he was talking to you and he said, "You know, Mom, men don't cry."
Well, he said, "Do men cry?"
Oh yeah, he asked you that.
Because he didn't know yet. He was looking for the rules.
Yeah. You know,
to make up for his own understanding.
Yeah. And Hollywood has taught him, if he's to listen to that, that men don't cry.
Yeah. So the story.
Yeah.
Tell the story. I'll tell it. So Caleb, he asked me one day, it seemed random to me, but nothing is really random, probably to kids. He said, "Mommy, do grown men cry?" And I was like, "Yeah, Caleb, grown men cry." He was like, "Well, when, where?" He said, asked me something like that. He was like, "Because none of the movies I see, none of the shows that I watch, I never see men crying in any of the movies. And so I'm trying to figure out when they stop crying." And I was like, "Well, they do cry, Caleb. Like, I know guys who cry all the time. As a matter of fact, did I say, I'll tell you, you can talk to Andrew, or did I just talk to you?"
I love that. I think
did I say that?
I don't know. I
don't know if I told him that part, but when I talked to you, maybe I didn't tell him. I was like, "Caleb, I do know men who cry."
Yeah.
And so then I must have talked to you like a day or two later, and I was like, "Hey, Andrew, let me tell you about Caleb. Maybe you can talk to him when you see him."
And then just that same week, I had picked him up because we were at the Fitchburg Farms event.
And we got him from school, and you talked to him in the car about crying. Yeah.
And then we shared the Ja Rule song.
Yeah, and then
when I cry, you cry, we cry together. And Ja Rule, the edited version. Thank you, Ja Rule.
Yeah.
And then remember after I talked to him, and I remember being at your house, and I watered up, and I didn't let the tears out, but it made me emotional. You know, remember how you followed up later, and you had said something. Caleb was so proud, like, "Oh, men cry." Remember?
He said it, or I said it.
He said that.
Oh,
it was a follow-up conversation. I don't know if it was with somebody else.
Oh, and he told somebody.
Yeah,
that
remember?
Guys do cry.
Yeah, and and how did he say it though? He was confident.
Yeah.
He was assured of himself.
Yeah.
He's like, "No, guys cry."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you know Caleb, little all-star in the making.
Yeah.
But how cool is that? To be unconditioned and to learn emotion.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a TV commercial saying like, "Hey, we want to help teach you to be deep and meaningful and have a raw, authentic connection with others"?
No.
I've never,
and then
in my 34 years, seen that on TV.
I think TV even makes people think like that they should not, like what you just now said, right? Like, if you are single, then it's like you should be happy being single.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm single, and it's like, even if as a single woman, if I said, like, I'm single and I'm enjoying my life, and also I would love to have a companion, a partner, somebody to, share my life and enjoy my life with, then it will be like, well, why aren't you okay just by yourself? And it's like, I am okay by myself.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with wanting companionship and connection?
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to just be tough. You're not supposed to. It's like, if you show that you are human and having a human experience that has feelings, wants, and desires, and it's like, you are like, oh my God, you have feelings?
Yeah. You're vulnerable and transparent?
You're
what?
Vulnerable? Oh my God.
Yeah. When I ask people like business owners, I'm like, "Can I be vulnerable and transparent with you?" They're like, the look on their face, they'd be like, Yeah, it's just such a social normality to not be vulnerable and transparent. And shout out to Brene Brown. Have you?
Shame. My therapist prescribed me those.
Is it vulnerability?
Shame and then vulnerability. Both of them.
Yeah. Vulnerability. Brene Brown. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, over 15 million views. TED Talks, but it goes deep into shame.
She did 2 of them.
Did she?
She did. The first one was about shame, and then the second one I think
shame
was
and guilt.
And then the second must have been vulnerability.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because I think in the second one, she was like, I should have talked about this before I talked about that.
We gonna talk about that off air and figure it out. But that really like resonated with me and how people aren't vulnerable or transparent because they do feel guilty or they feel shame about previous traumas that hinder them from being, who they want to be in the moment,
If somebody was vulnerable enough to say, hey, like this is bothering me, they could be rejected, right? Somebody can be like, oh, whatever, your feelings are invalid, and that can hurt, right? So it's easier to just not speak out and say anything. I'll just deal with it, right? It's easier for somebody to just be like, I don't. It's easier for somebody to say I don't care, regardless of whether they care or don't. They are creating a disconnect in their own brain system because they care, but they say they don't care. And then it's like, well, then how do I act? Because I don't want anybody to know I care, but I really do. But I feel shameful because I care, that I do care. And I don't want to care, but I can't not care. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. And so that contributes to the disconnect because that crisscross in the brain, there's a word, I can't remember the word for that. And then also the fear, do I want to say the violence or the danger? It feels dangerous.
Yeah. That's like the protect the peace with a lie mentality. When I say I'd rather hurt your feelings with the truth than to protect your feelings with a lie, the lie wouldn't necessarily be a verbal lie. The lie would be me internalizing and not speaking up about my feelings. And that's where that crisscross, that disconnect. And if you're continuously doing that, you're always protecting the peace. You're always in this matrix of what's really actually reality.
And you get lost.
My synopsis, or not synopsis, but what I made up of what you said, it's easier to be surface level, disconnected, wash, rinse, repeat, manipulating your own reality.
Yep, your own.
Because you're dismissing your feelings, your wants, your
needs. Gaslighting yourself.
You're gaslighting yourself. You're self-pleasing.
Yeah.
You're pleasing what you feel like you want and need in a moment, and not living behind values and beliefs. To let all that go and to feel true love and to be so aware of your surroundings. Yeah. You open yourself up to so much pain.
And also, and to feel true love, right? Because people think that true love means flowers and roses.
No, true love hurts.
True love means work.
Andrea and I love each other, truly.
Yeah, right? And so it's like the mistake, like what you said at the beginning, you love somebody, the people who you love, you hold them to a higher expectation. Today I said, I am not perfect. On the conversation that I had earlier today, I was like, I'm not perfect. I can say sorry for not being perfect, but I'm human and I messed up and I will mess up again. But you are not worth giving up on, And I was like, so you're important to me and I care about you and this and that and the other, but I can't hold anything against you because, if you suffer, then, that's on you to figure out. Yeah. But all I can do is come to you whole as a person who cares to know you, to see you, to hold you as you are, and to do the work. I was like, because to me, you're worth the work. To me, you're worth not giving up on. And even if that means like that that the context of how we know and understand each other is different than, like marriage and relationship. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just like, a friendship type of thing. I don't know. Like maybe just a friendship type of thing.
I feel like if I talk to you about all my resonations right now, this is going to be a 2-hour podcast today. And the way we're set up structurally, we don't allow that. We don't have the permission. We don't have the mutual agreements with our team. This is so. I'm so happy. This was so enlightening today and so refreshing. And I'm so happy that we can share organic stories that have transpired with us this week, and go live with it. It's really a beautiful thing. And when we do some consulting for podcast work, and it's going to be very exciting to like discuss like the way we think and our values and behaviors, because a lot of what we do is a very fulfilled lifestyle. It's our values and behaviors that we're already doing, and now we're on air with it. We work with it, no pun intended on the work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or pun intended. Andrea's got her work class coming up.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, it's on Saturday, and it's all virtual.
Okay.
And she says she's been studying.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'll be with baby all day.
Okay. Yeah, it's an 8-hour training.
It's an 8-hour training.
Yeah.
Donating to Project Home. They won't see it this week, but I should shout out last week. We're doing 10% of our sales to Project Home at the end of February.
That's what's
at
up.
Pancake Cafe Stone.
So they'll see this after the
after
fundraiser.
We do it, yeah.
But still, y'all can still donate.
You can still donate to Project Home.
Yeah.
It's a great cause.
Yeah.
So holla back next week.
Check us out on all social media platforms. Our episodes appear on Anchor. If you want to stream the audio version of our show, you can tune into Anchor Radio. The link is in the box below. It's on iTunes, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you like to stream music from, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. If you want to watch the video version of it, check us out on YouTube. We also post on Facebook and Instagram. Our latest episodes are always going to be on YouTube and the streaming platforms. And then our older copies of our older versions of the show appears on Facebook. On Facebook. So yeah, thanks y'all. Thank you for tuning in. See y'all next week.
And leave us some Facebook reviews.
Yeah, leave some reviews.
Please.
Share it with somebody who you think this might resonate with.
Yeah. Let's see some vulnerability out there.
Yeah. Thanks y'all.
Holla back.